Hello everybody on the page, good evening, welcome to Ashley Oliver, spiritual worker, on this Facebook page this evening for something a little bit different. On a Friday night we like to do Ask the Medium questions. We never get time to do that on a Sunday service, and it's always interesting to hear more about different people's perspectives, hear from different people. So this evening we're very, very privileged to have Jo Bradley back with us again. Hello Jo.
Hello, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Very well, thank you. How are you doing?
Yeah, enjoying Easter as far as I can.
Super, thank you.
Beautiful weather, so.
Oh, yes,
yeah.
Isn't it just? So, hello everybody who is online. Please keep your comments and questions. Oh, hello Donna, lovely Donna from Weymouth. Hopefully you've been incorporating some sea swimming into your outdoor activity. Please do keep your questions coming in this evening, because this is going to be an opportunity to talk to a physical medium. As some of you might know, it's a subject that fascinates me, excites me. It's just such a fascinating subject. So we're looking to hear more from Jo this evening. So do submit your questions and I will put them to Jo. So Jo, we've got about an hour of your precious time on a Friday evening. Tell me about your story. How did you get started in this?
Gosh, well, I went to college way back, probably about 150 years ago now. I went to the College of Psychic Studies, and just to actually fine-tune my clairaudience and my clairvoyance, and was tutored by Tony Stockwell, who not only is an awesome medium, but a thoroughly nice man as well, really funny. And he said to me, I think it was my second week there, he said, oh, you're a physical medium, darling. And I said, oh, that's nice. What's that then? Hadn't got a clue, not a clue. And so he said, well, go home and Google it and you know, see what you come up with, have a talk about it next week. And so I did, and I went home, and the very first images I saw of Helen Duncan and, you know, this puppet looking thing of Peggy. And I was like looking at the screen going, well, crikey, you know, what's that about? And I mean, I'd always had lots of things that would switch on and off, you know, things would just get moved. But when you grow up with it, it's normal. And so you don't actually think that there's a name for it. You just think it's normal. Doesn't everybody have that in their homes, you know? And of course, wherever we live, the same thing would happen. So I never for once thought it was something to do with me or my energy. I just thought, well, it's normal. It happens in every house. And so it was Tony really that kind of set me off on this inquisitive quest, really, I would say, to start off with. I started to read all that I could about physical. Didn't know that there was actually a name for it. Right. And yeah, several years later, having experimented and very luckily having seen most forms of phenomena, I am where I am today. So yes, we have to thank Tony Stockwell. He does make that claim now. Oh, bless him. There we go.
He's responsible for setting lots of.
I can't say. Sorry.
I was going to say he's responsible for setting lots of mediums on their pathway by giving them just a little hint.
Yeah, he is. He really is. I mean, obviously, he was a really big support of mine at the time, and got very, very excited when, you know, phenomena in the classroom, which it often did. My first experience of table tilting was with Tony at the college, and I remember looking above the table and looking under the table thinking, oh my God, you know, someone's got to be pushing this. And of course it wasn't. It was created by the psychic force. But yeah, so it has a lot to answer for. 20 years of my life really has gone into now. Wow. But I can honestly say it's not always been easy. I'm not going to tell people it's easy. It's quite a lonely road sometimes, because it, you know, physical phenomena, physical medium, physical stuff. So there really is sort of physical impacts on the body as well. You know, you do go through changes in your body. So, and unless you're actually sitting in the chair developing this type of mediumship, you could never understand it. You know, I remember somebody once said to me, something about, you know, what physical effects. And I started to go, and she said, well, you choose to go that route, don't moan about it. And I wasn't actually moaning about it. It was just trying to say, look, you know, there are physical effects to it, and I don't mind that. You know, you learn to cope with it. But I was a little bit shocked. You know, first you get asked, well, what physical effects then? And you go, well, you know, you get this and this. Well, don't moan about it. You chose this pathway. And to a certain degree, I believe we did. We did all choose our pathways. So I'm not moaning, but it can be a lonely path sometimes.
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah, thank you. So I suppose just to get right back to basics, to explain for some people, and I was really fortunate because my very first experience of spiritualism and mediumship was actually in the seance room. So I kind of didn't come to it through clairvoyance and hearing a medium in a church and getting a message. So I suppose I grew up with it. But for those people that aren't familiar with it, can you just paint a little picture of what a seance room is like in modern day physical phenomena? Because obviously this was 30 years ago I'm talking about. So what's your seance room like, Jo? And what happens?
There are two types of seance rooms, really. If you went to a demonstration, it would be a completely blacked out room where there is no light coming in from windows, doors, or whatever else. You're not allowed to wear metal, I understand, and you will get a metal detector run over you. And then there will be generally a spirit cabinet, which is just like a big closet. And the medium will sit inside, and the spirit cabinet is about keeping the energy very close to the medium so that the spirit operators can actually manipulate it, add things to it, so that they can make it soft or hard or as a mist or lights. They can do whatever they want, really. But obviously that takes a lot of time and devotion. Sometimes in a public seance, you would have a very dim red light, maybe switched on for a few seconds. But the majority of it is in the dark. Now, I'm not keen on the dark, actually. Weird things happen to me in the dark. I'm not really that keen on the dark. But I'd always had this mindset, and I have to say this is just my opinion, just how I've always done it and my mindset. So I'm not saying people shouldn't sit in the dark if that's what they want to do. But I'm not really one for sitting in the dark, because if I go into the dark, you know, I've got people grabbing at me, and it, you know, I'm like, woo, 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 you know, it can make me a little bit. But also, I'm very scientific. So in my mind, I looked at all these wonderful accounts of all these previous mediums, and they were all displaying their work in some form of light, whether it be gaslight, candlelight, red light. And I thought, I don't believe that we can go back in development. So why would modern day people choose to sit in the pitch black where you can't actually see anything?
Yeah. You
have to rely a lot on your senses. And so I thought, look, if this is real, we should be able to see it. We should be able to experience it, so we can sit with our eyes, hear it with our ears, touch if you know, we're given permission to do so. Obviously, there's great safety in a seance room. But I had to go one step further to that and said, if it's real, it needs to be photographed and filmed as well. So it wasn't really a pact that I had. I just spoke with my guides one day and said, look, you know, I as a medium, I as a human being need to know that it's real as well. And so, you know, I'm happy to devote years and years and years to this work, if that's what you'd like me to do, but it has to be done so that it's provable, it's repeatable, it can be seen, it can be experienced, it can be photographed for, you know, the records. This work needs to be left, I would like my work to be left as a legacy for others that walk the same pathway. And I am a great believer that the mindset plays a huge part in development as well. And of course, people do forget that we are part of our own spirit team. Our spirit team isn't separate to us. We're part of the spirit team. So, you know, I do hear people, a lot of developing mediums, obviously come and train under me, and they'll say, oh, no, we have to sit in the dark. And I go, no, we don't. So I feel that some people are very conditioned by what they read these days. I don't know how seances went back into the dark, to be honest. You know, the pioneers generally had some form of light. So I don't understand our mindset, why we would take it a step back rather than trying to keep pushing forward and working in the modern world. Does that answer your question?
It really does. I find it quite fascinating. No, it really does. And well, I could talk about this with you forever, because I think that the only real records that we have were all of the books that were written, like you say, by the people at the turn of the last century. And so it's almost that recreationist. You're trying to recreate the conditions that were around in the Victorian era. And obviously there's been later books around scroll and other work that they've done as well in more recent years.
Yeah, and I don't understand that. Why would we try to recreate? Because everything now has changed so much. So yes, we nod to the past, and yes, we would love the same type or the same level of evidence, but we can't necessarily achieve it in the same way anymore. You know, we have all this modern equipment, our airwaves are filled with all this technology, you know, we've got satellites up in the sky. So, and all of this has an impact on what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I think
I just don't understand why people want to, you know, keep trying to hold on to the past.
Yeah, thank you. That is a really great answer. Thank you so much. So you talked about kind of photographing and evidence, and I know that your Facebook page, you've got some kind of photographs on there, but I'm really interested in that scientific side of it that you talked about earlier, your mindset, your approach when you went into this. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Because that would be really interesting for a lot of people.
Yeah, well, I've always had quite an inquisitive mind, and I don't really feel a pull to work in the public domain. You know, there are physical mediums out there that do work in the public domain, and maybe their job is about keeping it, you know, in the line of people's memories. Or, you know, this is another form of mediumship. Maybe it is about making sure that it doesn't completely go underground really into home circles. But my work really is about the scientific side of it, and trying to get science to rubber stamp that the paranormal is real. So, and I feel the only way we can do that is giving them actually evidence that they can see, that they can hear, that they can get involved in, that they can record, that they can video. And for it to be a repeatable experiment, because we know that men of science like to keep repeating things, repeat. And although no two pieces of evidence will ever be the same from the spirit side, the actual experiment can be repeated time after time after time. Of course, there's never any guaranteed results that can be gained from it, because sometimes the medium might not be well and just doesn't know. Sometimes the airwaves are just so thick with whatever. Fog will have a huge impact on it. It makes the atmosphere very dense. That, there's an awful lot to it. Thunderstorm, if you've got a lot of lightning, that will have an impact on a sitting. Whether you're stressed, whether sitters are stressed, whether sitters are ill. So there are so many different variants that will change results. So, but the concept still has to be, I would love it, right? This is my ultimate goal. You've got, all the people watching probably laugh. My ultimate goal, you switch on the telly, 6 o'clock news. Scientists today announce that when you die, it's only your body that dies. You do live on, it's real. So we're not going to call it paranormal anymore. It's going to be normal. It's normal. It's a natural part. We found that extra cycle of that life. You know, we absolutely know that question now that no one dies. So nobody needs to worry. Okay. So they're rubber stamping it. How great then, take it another step on, and people will be sat at home laughing. I don't mind.
I think it sounds great. Like
you're out shopping. So you've gone to do a bit of food shop, or you've gone to, you know, buy a new dress, and there's an internet cafe. I'll whip in there, I'll have a cup of coffee, and you sit there. Oh, I'll just dial up Mum. No, I'll just dial up Joe. Right, so oh, hello. Yeah, oh, yeah. Oh, right, okay. And out comes the voice box, and Mum comes and speaks through independent direct voice to you, you know? So you're having a cup of coffee. Hello, Mum. Yeah, I'm just at the shop. So, yeah, I bought a beautiful. Oh, you've seen it, have you? Yeah. What do you think? Because the conversations that we have with our loved ones on the other side are that basic. They still get involved in our lives. You know, when it's birthdays, celebrations, they're at the parties. You know that as a medium yourself, Ashley.
Yeah.
But it's just about proving it. And so I keep plodding on. I keep plodding on.
Do you know what a wonderful world that would be if we could immediately eliminate fear of dying? Because you know, well, no, not eliminate fear of dying. What happens after we die?
Yeah.
That there is.
I think actually, I mean, that's quite a big statement you just made as well, because people say I'm scared of dying. But also when they come through and communicate from the other side, they go, oh, dying was the easy bit. That was easy. It just felt like I'd gone to sleep, you know. And then I woke up and there was Mum. Oh, hello, Mum. Oh, am I dead? I must be dead. I'm with you. See what I mean? So I think the fear of the actual process of dying will also be eliminated at the same time.
Amazing. Do you know what that would be? Well, keep on with your endeavours with the scientists.
Oh, we're getting there. We're getting there. Yeah, we are getting there.
Fantastic. So I've got a question, which is a really is a question that I know I've spoken to some other people who are developing clairvoyance, and they're also interested in developing different energies. They're working more in that kind of trance, maybe seance energy. You're a working medium that works in both energies. How does that work mechanically for you? And did you develop both at the same time?
Well, the physical mediumship, although obviously I had to sit and develop in a circle, the physical had always been there. And it was just a matter of actually being able to allow the team to utilise that and develop it properly. So giving them the right conditions to do it. The physical, to me, you either have the right physicality or you don't. And in actual fact, as mediums, we have the easy job. All we have to do is have patience and sit in the chair, offer our energy to be used. Sounds simple. Yes, we still go through all these feelings of adjustments and everything else, and we still have to get the conditions right this side of life. So I'm not going to say it's easy, but we do have the easy job. Now, trance, well, dear me, you know, I wrote about it in my book. I think I referred to it as the peculiar state of trance. Trance, when I first started to experience it, and it wasn't something that I pursued, it was something that just suddenly started to happen. And it was the most painful, the most uncomfortable, and the most confusing in my mind of all the disciplines.
Gosh.
I felt like I was being stretched, and I felt like I was going to be like that Sigourney Weaver, where my stomach and chest was going to burst open and this alien was going to come out, because that's how it felt to me. You know, I know people are probably laughing.
Just
but those that are doing it will have... Huh?
Just a little disclaimer, that doesn't happen. If anyone's interested.
No, it doesn't happen. No, it doesn't happen. Of course it doesn't happen. But what I mean is, when they come in and they manipulate your energy, the different disciplines within mediumship all have their different feelings associated with them. And so, you know, with trance, there's heaviness. You know, it feels like you're falling back sometimes. It feels like you're falling out of your feet sometimes. The energies are very different depending on, you know, who's connecting with you and what you're actually being used for. Trance was the thing that I struggled with most. Okay. I have to say that. Yeah. Because also when trance first, when it really started to deepen, I would sit to meditate and the trance control would come in, and I hadn't really got to grips, I think, at that idea of having such firm intentions and firm boundaries, but they would use that opportunity. They'd come in quick, and I got to the point where the trance was deepening to such a point that I would suddenly get this overwhelming sense to want to projectile vomit. And it got so bad that in the end I didn't want to meditate. Right. I just didn't want to meditate. I mean, all of these phases, although you feel it, I mean, you're not going to be harmed by the process in any way. Of course you're not. But the feelings can be really quite overwhelming. That's what I'm saying. And that's what actually stops a lot of people from working through that phase and kind of moving forward. Yeah. I did a couple of years ago. I said to my guide, I need an easy way for people to be able to learn how to give themselves over for trance, where they're not going to panic, and it's more of a step by step each week, a little bit more in. And so he actually downloaded to me. I'm clairaudience, I'm quite lucky. Literally, he dictated a system to me, which I teach over a 10-week period now. And it's very, very successful. But that's come directly from spirit. And I always felt that it was probably best to take my instructions from spirit, because they see it from that side.
Yeah.
They know what they actually need from us, the instruments. Yeah. So he downloaded this system, which I now teach, and we tend to get really, really good results. It's a shame he didn't download it to me when I was learning. That's all I can say.
But then you've got all those golden nuggets of your own experience of doing things where, you're able to talk from knowledge and understanding, where mediums tell you they're struggling, or they get over the release and the let go, and they can't get over the fact it sounds like them talking, and, all these other things that happen. Oh, fantastic.
Well, I think one of the biggest things, because we're all control freaks, that's the biggest issue with trance. But we have to be, because we set our calendars, we set our alarm clocks, we get up to go to work, we decide when we're going to do our shopping, when we're doing, what time we get in the shower, all of these things. We are very much in control of our lives and our routines, because that's what society governs us to do. And so with trance, you have to hand over control, and that's not an easy thing for any of us to do. So it's important that you also have that trust and know that your control that's working with you just wants you to be able to get out of the way. Just trust them. Just trust them. So the system that I was downloaded from White Eagle was about giving the medium an actual job. So they have this job that they sit in. That's it. And then all of this wonderful blending goes on, and they have little resistance really in the end, because they've got their job. Well, why aren't you doing your job? That's your only job in trance. Get back and do your job. And it's about focusing the mind and giving that person something that they are in control of. So it works really well.
Fantastic. I love that, because that's coming from your own experience as someone who's done all the hard yards on your own. Well, not on your own with spirit, but your own learning journey. But also comes with that very scientific mindset, where we understand the benefits of mindfulness and the monkey mind and giving the brain something to do. And it's really practical stuff, because there's nothing more frustrating than being told you just have to sit quietly in the energy and let spirit do everything. And then your conscious mind is overthinking it.
I remember the first time when my guide truly blended for the first time, and I could hear his words pass through my forehead.
Amazing.
And I'm sat inside my body going, who's that? Who said that? They're not my words. But at the same time, my mouth was opening and these words were coming out. And I'm like, who said that? Who is that? Because I could hear these words being said, and then obviously they were being projected into the room using my mouth, but I had no control over it. So it was very confusing, particularly for someone who is such a control freak like I am. I openly admit that I'm an absolute control freak.
Yeah, that's lovely. Thank you so much. What I will do, Joe, if it's okay with you, is after this is finished, I will put a link to your Facebook and your website, because you've got all of your kind of like teaching classes on there as well, and all your other information. So I'll put a link on there. If anyone out there is watching this and thinking, sounds like what happens when I meditate, this is something that's really interesting to me, I'll put the link on there so you can get more information from Joe. Okay, so I suppose my next question, before I go to some questions from the audience who are watching, submitted them, my final question is, I'm interested in who inspires you? Who actually inspires you in your spirit work and your spirit team that are around you working with you?
All my spirit team. I can't name one of them. I can't single one out. They all absolutely inspire me. And I always say to them, it's actually an honor that they've chosen to work with me. And I truly mean that. You know, we have scientists, and we have biologists, doctors, a whole scientific team, really, because I'm scientific. And so, of course, like attracts like. And of course, then we have White Eagle, who, and before people ask, I'm sure it's not the White Eagle that you would read of White Eagle Lodge. People ask me that all the time, and I go, he's never said he is. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. That isn't important to him. The work that we do together is important to him. I just know that I feel very loved and very protected and very safe with them. So I can't separate. Incidentally, in the physical circle, we have over 150 souls that work in it. God. And it takes that amount of souls to work in a physical. Not that I mean, we know seven of the main guides that come forward on that level. But every single soul that works in that physical circle has a crucial role. I would love to be able to name every single one of them, but I can't. So yeah. So I can't separate any of my spirit team because they all literally inspire me. Diggy Home, Daniel Douglas Hume, it's well known, he's my ancestor. Now, the very first time I actually physically met him was he materialized in the seance room.
Wow.
He was levitating up near the ceiling. And we looked, and I thought, who is that? And then I realized, oh my God, it's Dan. And I went, Dan, what are you doing? And he literally just levitated, feet first, straight through the wall, and out he went. So that was the first time that I physically met him. So I have to say, because he'll probably get the ump if I don't, that his work inspires me. And incidentally, Dan, when he was here as a physical medium himself, used to have etherealization, which is obviously what we get a lot of now. And he used to have what they used to term phantom hands. So hands that would manifest and end at the wrist. Wow. And this was one of my first forms of true phenomena when I actually started to sit to develop. So, and he did say that I was almost here to try to complete his mission. Wow. Of, you know, because he himself was, he underwent scientific testing with William Crookes. Incidentally, William Crookes is one of our spirit operators in our circle. So it's almost like it feels quite a family connection. So we've got obviously Dan that works in the seance room, and obviously we've got William, and William was a chemist. So so they all inspire me, really. I have to always say thank you to Tony Stockwell in this physical world, because if he hadn't have actually taken me aside and said, you know, this is your energy, and I would never have even investigated it further, because I mean, don't things fly off shelves in everybody's house? Don't radios and TVs turn on in everybody's house? I don't know, because I'd always had it, and wherever we moved, it always happened. So, you know, why would I make I wouldn't make that connection, because I knew nothing about it. So I wouldn't make that connection, or, you know, it must be down to some form of phenomena here. So yeah, so I have to thank Tony as well.
Lovely. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to go to some of your questions. I've had a couple that have been emailed in for people that can't make the live this evening, but wanted to ask you a question, and I'm going to watch on the replay. So the first one is, can you give some tips and hints for people wanting to start a physical circle? How many people do they need? How long do they need to sit for? How often? Just really, they're really interested. I don't think they've identified who the medium is yet, but they're just a group of people that are interested in working. So would you be able to help them out with that, Jo?
Yeah, I get asked this question a lot. So what I say firstly is 3 or 4 people initially is enough. It's very hard to keep harmony amongst a bigger group of people. The people that sit together need to be of the mindset that they're coming once a week to enjoy each other's company. They can't have great expectations. So that's the first thing. It's about getting the sitters right. If you don't get the sitters right, nothing will occur. It just doesn't. So no one who's grieving, no one who is addicted to alcohol or drugs for safety reasons. So just, that's not a judgment, it's just not a good idea, because it can then cause them a few problems if things kick off. So yes, so 3 or 4 people. So just be really mindful. Now, someone actually wrote to me once a long time ago and they said, I've just started my own physical circle. And I went, that's great. Yeah, the problem is I'm in a difficult situation. What's that? Well, my best friend said, well, of course I'm sitting. And she said, truth be known, she's not suitable at all. But she said, and I know she's not suitable, and I know that it will hold any development back, but she's my best friend and I don't know what to do. Now, this is a great problem. Of course it is. The thing is, if you have a very, very good friend, it shouldn't make a difference to that friendship if you are always honest with each other. But it is a difficult one, okay? But if you know and you feel that one of the sitters shouldn't be there, you have a responsibility to everybody else who's giving their time. Yes. Resolve it. So that is the most difficult thing. Then you set a day of the week and the same time every week. You're making an appointment with your spirit team. You choose a room, same room preferably every week. Doesn't necessarily have to be a room that's only used for your seances. If it's a bedroom that has to double up, that's fine. But keep it clean and make sure that you've got a really, really good blackout at the windows and doors. We black out all the natural light and then add in light. And then one final tip really is put everything in the room that you intend to use, whether you're going to use it from week 1 or not, because every single thing you put in there has an energy. So for instance, if you're hoping to develop direct voice, which is a voice that comes through a flying trumpet, have the trumpet in there from the first sitting. Because if you introduce the trumpet, say 3 months in, you'll change the energy, you'll set the circle back.
Gosh.
Play music for half an hour before you go in, always saying opening, closing prayer. Set the intention, speak your words. We've come together here for physical circle. Don't be tempted to start your circle off with a meditation. You completely change the dynamics of the circle. So you come in, well, do a meditation where you've just changed it from a physical circle to a meditation circle. And just enjoy each other's company.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Jo. So if anyone out there is really, really fascinated by this and so inspired by everything Jo's been talking about, wants to start your own circle, there's some golden nuggets in there. Fantastic. Thank you, Jo. Thank you. The other question that comes in is, do I need a circle leader? And by what I understand by that is somebody to kind of act to coordinate and kind of conduct things while the medium is in the cabinet kind of working.
Once you know who the medium is, yes.
Okay.
And it needs to be someone who is quite strong, that can really keep control of this side should it be needed, but who's got really, really good grounding and doesn't get panicked, doesn't get freaked out by anything, and who you know is just level-headed. Yeah.
Thank you. Super.
No point nominating anyone before you know who the medium is, if there is a medium, a physical medium in the group, because it could be the person that you're nominating as the circle leader. Then you've got to find another one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Okay, so another question from Sue, who I think might actually be online, Sue. But this is a question about Apports and actually the popularity in Apports being created in seances now, and whether you've had any Apports and kind of, your thoughts on that.
I've had dozens and dozens and dozens of Apports, actually.
Yeah.
We had a series of 23 apported notes over a 2-day period.
Wow.
And the apported notes were unique for several reasons. Firstly, they were answering questions that I just asked out loud.
Wow.
Secondly, they were brought in broad daylight and just literally manifested and floated to the floor.
Wow.
Thirdly, that it was written on paper that was not from my house. It was like pulled from a ring book.
Yeah.
That paper didn't exist in my house. And also it was like a little notebook like that. And interestingly, must have kept pulling it out like that by a sheet and yanking it because the corners kept being missed, which was really weird. And lastly, of course, they displayed direct writing, which is not the same as automatic writing at all. It's where spirit will manifest that writing. They will pick up a pen and write for themselves. So, so there's, I mean, they've all been preserved in a file. But yes, so that was among some of the most unique Apports that we've had.
That is blowing
I don't really get crystals and things like that. If we have a seance and someone is brought an Apport, I've always said to the team, it has to have evidence behind it.
Yes.
What's the point in having something that could just be for anyone?
Yes.
So what they tend to do is they will bring, so like, for instance, we had this British man in a seance once, and he was given an Apport. And I think it fell out the end of the trumpet. Anyway, I can't remember. But anyway, it was a coin. And at the end of the seance, I said, well, let's have a look then. And it was an old coin, and it had got a coat of arms on the back. And I looked at it and I said, is that your birth year or something? He said, no, the year doesn't mean anything to me. I said, why would they bring you that then? He said, the coat of arms is my family coat of arms.
Oh, my goodness.
So, but I've always been very insistent that the Apports that come should have evidential value. So some people might get a coin and it was printed, minted at their birth year. I had one lady who we were actually at a retreat, and she received an Apport. It was a receipt, really strange, I think for a train or something.
Okay.
And I actually said to her, oh, you've dropped a piece of paper. We were sort of like sat opposite. She went, no, I haven't. I said, well, there's a piece of paper down there. She picked it up. She went, oh, it's a train or a bus receipt, something like that. And I said, well, where's that come from? We've been at this retreat location for 2 or 3 days. And I think it was Manchester or anyway, no one at this retreat came from this particular area. But when she looked at the date, which was a January date, I believe, and we were there like September, it was the exact date that her mother had passed away, printed on the receipt. So, yeah, but why shouldn't Apports have the same evidential value as anything else?
Music to my ears, and I know that Sue's online. I'm sure if you put a little comment in, Sue, I think that probably has floated your boat as much as that has floated my boat, because with the infinite intelligence of the spirit world.
Exactly. I mean, they are intelligent, people like us. Yeah. I know when I die, if I brought my daughter a crystal or something, she'd throw it back at me. She said, well, that's not my mother. My mother wouldn't bring me a crystal or whatever it is,
Yeah.
But if I brought her something that had my date of birth on or her date of birth or, my passing date, she'd go, yeah, that's from my mother, because it's evidence attached to it. So, I think a lot of this to do with mindset. I think some of it, maybe I shouldn't say it, but I think some of it is about sensationalism. And I don't understand that. I don't know. Probably out of order for saying that, really, but my belief, really. Yeah,
absolutely. You've got to come from your own place, haven't you? Thank you so much.
Yeah, I have to be honest. Yeah, I have to be honest with myself.
Thank you. And Sue's just come back to say, yeah, that absolutely answers her question, exactly where she was coming from. Thank you so much. We had some other questions here. Sue is a big fan of physical phenomena. So Becky Parker, hello Becky. Becky has asked a question to say, do you have a guide you go through? I think you've answered that one beautifully, that you've got a whole plethora of people that you go through.
Yeah, we have,
yeah. Has anyone got any more questions? I've got another question around some of your evidence. I know you've talked about the evidence and the photographs, but there's one particular photograph I wanted to ask you about that looks like there's a light which is kind of around your face and in your mouth. Could you talk to people that maybe don't know much about your work, what that actually is that you managed to capture?
Yeah, if it's the one, there's two actually.
Yeah.
There's the etherealization photograph where I actually have blue lights emanating from my chest.
Lovely. Could you just talk about that one and explain what etherization is? Is that all right?
Yeah, etherealization is the same as materialization, really, except their bodies will be much more vapor form. Their faces are very defined because, after all, it's our faces that we identify each other with. It does mean, though, that if you are having a seance and you are allowing etherealization to occur, that more than one person is likely to get a loved one or a guide or a friend to etherealize. Whereas if you were holding a seance and you had a full materialization where their bodies are equally as solid as their faces, it obviously requires a lot more energy. Yes. Etherealization is also safer if you've got people in a seance who you don't really know. And I'm not saying people come into a seance to purposely hurt anyone, but sometimes people can actually get quite overwhelmed and almost lose control of what they want to do. You know, sometimes they're so like, or they're emotionally, overcome. So sometimes people can do silly things, and I just call it silly things. I don't call it malicious things. Yeah. But if you've got an etherealization, it's much quicker to just dissipate than if you had a full materialization.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah. But the blue lights on my chest, we believe, I don't know if you've heard of this new energy that they talk about. So you've got the traditional ectoplasm, and then you've got this new energy. And people say, we work with the new energy. I said to my guides one day, what is this new energy then? They said, it's refined ectoplasm. Nothing new about it. We've just developed it. And I said, all right. So they said, well, we had to do something because we lost so many PMs, PMs that died because they were grabbed or ectoplasms grabbed, etc. So I do work with traditional ectoplasm, but I also work with the new energy. Now, they do work side by side, but they do not mix because one is finer than the other. With the new energy, yes, it is far safer. With the old ectoplasm, you have to have really quite strong safety in. So the blue, but it can appear as blue energy. New energy can be blue energy. But also with the new energy, it also now has its own light source. Hence the blue lights coming from the chest. So if you look at the photograph, you see like a trail of ecto, like a trail of ecto vapor that goes to the middle. And then you've got two etherealizations. The other picture that you're referring about is the light in my mouth.
Yes, yeah.
And that is part of what they've termed the circuit. So traditionally, if you go to a seance, there is no light, there's no cameras, God forbid you took a computer in, my God, you can't wear metal, you can't do this, you can't do that. Well, of course, a lot of my work is about people being able to access particularly independent direct voice over what we're doing now. But of course, that means we've got a lot of technology. So I'm sitting in a red light, I'm sitting in front of a computer. The other sitters, one is in America, one's in Swindon, and I've got another one in London. So we're dotted all over the place. They're also sitting in their homes in front of their computers. So that's 4 computers that Spirit have to overcome. So they had to do something in order to be able to aid the process. And so they started to manifest what they call part of the circuit inside my mouth. And it's quite a clever thing. It appears bright light, but it's like a silver object. And it's quite strange because the very first time it was produced in my mouth went numb. Inside my mouth went numb. And my lip was vibrating. So I felt very confused about it. I was like, what was going on here, you know? But it's just one of those things that they have built to overcome some of the technology. There's always a way, and they'll always find it.
Wow, that's amazing! Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I have so many questions, and
go for it, Ashley. Go for it.
So interesting. Okay, thank you. On the question of the new energy, the very lovely Sue Townsend is online, and she's asked a really great question, which is, will the new energy, here we go, is the new energy an indication of how physical mediumship will change in the future and how new abilities will be developed for the greater good when humanity can be trusted? So kind of the moving
Who
forward.
knows, Sue? Who knows? You know, I don't think any of us know what the future's going to hold. I did actually ask the guides once, with the new energy, does it mean that actually physical mediums won't be needed? And they went, no, sadly not. We're still going to need the physical mediums. But what they are trying to do is, you know, we have all these modern day people that die. Well, they don't die, but you know what I mean? They step out their bodies, they go back home. And that, of course, they take all the technology of all the modern equipment with them. Yeah. So, of course, they collaborate with all the scientists to find new ways to get their communications through. That's all they want to do. They want to get through and go, hey, don't worry, you know. But as far as, you know, I think some people were in the hope that there would never be a need for physical mediums anymore. And according to my team, that's not the case. But what they are trying to do is there are a lot more people that will be born with the gift.
Wow.
And it's about trying to show them or reassure them really that, look, we've made it a lot safer now. We've refined the ectoplasm. It's light tolerant. We can bring our own light in if you don't want to sit in light. You know, you're not going to be fatally injured now if someone kind of makes a mistake in the seance room, this type of thing. So, yeah, so I think there will be a lot more in the future. And because there are a lot of people actually that know about physical, you know, they know about the great Helen Duncan and what happened there. I actually had the pleasure of speaking to one of Helen's grandchildren once. And I said to him, I said, look, I said, is there any other people in your family that are like your grandmother? He said, yeah, there are. He said, but none of us will even talk about it, he said. So we just don't go there. And so, of course, the spirit world has lost bloodlines. So it makes sense that they have to make it safer in order and start new bloodlines with the gift in. And I do believe it goes down bloodlines. Whenever I've looked at things, it always seems to go down bloodlines. Yeah.
Amazing. Great question, Sue. Thank you. And fantastic response, because it just seems physical media went off the boil for a certain period of time, and actually now people are starting to come back into it. But it's just around making it accessible for people, isn't it? Because it's very much was a closed shop. There was no one talked about it. There were no books about it apart from the old books, and it was all kept very, very hush hush. And actually people like yourself and other pioneers in physical mediumship are really bringing it to the open and saying there's nothing to be frightened of.
Yeah, absolutely. In my second book, actually, at the back of that book, I've actually put a guide in there on how to create the best possible ways to sit for phenomena. And again, it's just from my own experiences. So the second book, the first book really is about some of the wonderful, but some of the terrifying things that happened to me initially. I say terrifying. It was terrifying because I didn't have the knowledge. But as soon as I started to learn and understand it, it wasn't terrifying anymore. But they would do an awful lot of things to draw me in. Well, we'll intrigue her. She'll want to walk this path because we're going to intrigue her. And so, you know, some of the things that happened were quite astounding, really. But everything, and the book was also written by an ex-scientist, so you know I do work with scientific communities. And the second book really was charting my development, what we did and what happened. And then at the very end, I've put a guide in, just a guide to sit and develop physical mediumship. But of course, people have to remember it's the way I did it. And not everything will resonate with people. You might read something and go, no, that doesn't sit right. And if that happens, then you must reject it. It just means that, your energy is different.
Lovely. Thank you so much. What a gift you are, Jo. What a gift you are. Thank you so much. Okay.
I'm just me, Ashley. I'm just me.
No. Do you know, I thanks so much. I bumped into Jo. Well, I say bumped into, I spotted Jo across the room at Spirit Quest, and I remembered your face from seeing you on an online discussion group, because I'm such a physical phenomena groupie. But I remember seeing your face and just kind of sidled up to you at Spirit Quest and said, "Excuse me, are you the physical medium, Jo?"
I'm very glad though, because your mum is lovely as well. I had the pleasure of meeting your mum. She's such a lovely lady as well.
She is. I've been very fortunate with my spiritual teachers. I've been very, very fortunate. Thank you.
Of course, it was your first year at Spirit Quest, and it was our first year at Spirit Quest as well. So, and I don't believe in coincidences. Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Thank you, Jo. Okay, we've got time for literally another couple of questions. Everyone's putting some amazing questions in. Thank you. So Paula Deeming, who I know is really interested in kind of the trance energy, has asked, are the ones born with it the ones who have a lot of unusual activity in their homes? As they born with it?
Physical, yeah, with the physical, I tend to find that, yeah. So if you've got a lot of activity in your home, Paula, then yeah, and that's generally the indicator, really. Just the indicator.
Fantastic. Thank you.
So you have good luck with your development.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you for your question, Paula. Norman has come on. Norman's been very patiently trying to watch this broadcast. He's had some technical issues. He's asking what kind of energy is used to produce your spirit photos.
Well, I think Norman Hutch should be answering that himself, given his next scientist. And wrote my first book. Very cheeky, Norman Hutch. What kind of energy?
Hello, Norman.
Yeah. I'm not. Is he talking about spirit extras? I think he's probably talking about spirit extras. Spirit extras, classic spirit extras in photographs actually manifested at a workshop once. I had no idea. I was just randomly taking some photos of people, and all of a sudden, this man suddenly stuck his head in, and I was like, oh my God, I've got a spirit extra. And so, of course, and I never know whether there's going to be a spirit extra or not. Interestingly, I'm sure Norman won't mind me sharing this. I was running a workshop once, and we were sitting in a circle, and I was just taking a few random shots of people, and there was a lady sat next to me, and I turned the camera and I took her picture. When I got home and uploaded it onto the computer, this man, this spirit extra, had put his head in between me and the female.
Wow.
And I thought, that's weird. Anyway, so I'd said to the group of people that were at the workshop, I said, does anybody know who this is? It's a spirit extra. He's put his head. Well, the next day, I uploaded it onto my Facebook page and said, very strange, this man made an appearance. And the next day, Norman phoned me quite early in the morning, I might add. I haven't forgiven you yet, Norman, for that. And he said, the spirit extra, he said, that's my brother. And he said he's been on the other side for 10 years. And what happened was Norman then sent me a picture of his brother, one of the pictures before he passed. And I looked at the picture and I went, good God, it is. I was like, God. So I posted both pictures with Norman's consent. I put them on my Facebook page. And there was about 2 or 3 weeks later, a man contacted me and he said, I'm a professional profiler. So I thought he meant, like criminologist or something. But the profile, he actually did the profile. And he said, I hope you don't mind, he said, put the photographs, I've compared the photographs and they match exactly. So these two individuals are exactly the same person. Where's she gone? She's disappeared. Bye then, Ashley. So yes, it was very interesting. So I don't know if that's answered your question, Norman. It would be ectoplasm, of course. Type me another message, please, and let me know if that actually answers that for you. I can't actually see anything at all here. The chances are, guys, if we're still live, and obviously Ashley must have lost her connection, it may well be that we might just get disconnected in a minute. And if that happens, I hope everybody has a lovely Easter and stay safe. Yep, I think she's gone. Okay, bye for now then. Bye-bye.
Hello. Oh, okay. Well, unfortunately, it looks like the technology completely dropped out. But thank you, everyone that watched the broadcast. And we will see you again soon.